Greetings and welcome back to the lab. Today we're going to finally build the car that I've been working on. If you haven't been following this series, I started a series where I wanted to go through what it takes to design and build a model car. This is not a full-size car. This is not an aspiration for a full-size car, but let me show you a quick render of what the car could look like.
Neon lights, we dance like stars, as the crowded streets and fancy cars.
Okay, we've got a number of pieces here that I could demonstrate what I've been working on. Let me just give you the really quick history. It was an idea, was a sort of a wedge-shaped car, and I started with this one here, which... Actually, no, I take that back. I started with a different one, but the idea had been that the car would have lights on it. So I've got little buckets for sticking a 5mm LED in there to do the headlights for me. That was the thinking. The problem was printing it on something like this where you've got the slot in the front and the buckets in the back. It was hard to get the extra material out of there. I now have some new tools I can use to try and clean up my 3D prints, but after struggling with that for a bit and trying to clean them out, and I kind of got this one cleaned up, this was the harder one to deal with. Ultimately, I ended up deciding it made more sense to have something like this where there's no buckets in it, and then I went ahead and I tried to print and I'll explain the tape in a moment, print an inside shell that would allow me to put the colors so you could see the colors sticking through, but my inside shell was too small, so I printed another inside shell, and that one fit much better. Does not have the tape yet. And then I was looking at how rough some of this stuff is here, and just the method of printing and various other problems that came up. So this is the latest print of the top because I added something to it. And so let me peel the skirt off of this. And it's going to need a little bit of refinement. This up here is supposed to represent the turn signals such that the driver sitting inside here could see the turn signals as a confirmation that they are on. And anybody driving up on the side would be able to see them. And anybody in a car in front of this one, which I can represent with two cars now, anybody from this car would be able to see back to this and see the turn signals as well. The main reason for that being because I've got the headlight here, and there's really not a whole lot of room to put the turn signals, and if I want to move the headlight down just slightly, also this is raked back, so the headlight's not actually pointing straight out, it's pointing down at the road. That was the thinking on a lot of this. Now, this is going to require just a bit of cleanup. I'm going to skip that for this particular episode, but I will make the files available. Anybody that sees this and wants to do this for themselves, please let me know and I'll post up the files. Otherwise, I'm just posting up the files for I don't know who. So the idea now is that I can do this. I can put this inside of there. I'm really happy that that worked out. I can get rid of this for the moment. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use tape to represent all the colors. And in one case, we're going to need paint because I don't really have everything I need tape-wise. So I'm going to try and do it with paint. But let me put some of this stuff aside and bring in some tape. And some more tape. And some paint and a brush and go through my thinking on how this would all go together. Now, I don't know if you want to give this to a child as a toy. My thinking was that this part sticks inside of this part. It could be glued together. Probably you want to locate the glue underneath here and underneath here in a good sized blob so it really sticks. But the problem is I can't guarantee that this is not going to come apart. And if you decide you want to paint these parts, you got to make sure that paint's going to be safe in case a kid decides to put it in their mouth. So I am not recommending this as a kid's toy. I will leave that entirely up to you how you want to deal with that. So this is that. I want to tell you about the windows first. So let's move some stuff aside. I thought about painting, and then I thought, is there another way we could do this? I want to make basically tinted windows are probably the easiest solution to this. Tinting the windshield, the back window, and the side windows on either side. And so I had this thought. I said, what about packing tape? I can get packing tape. If I can get it off here. I had the thought that I could use packing tape and paint the back side of it, the sticky side, as long as I left like an extension sticking out of here. Now, just to grab this, I'd stuck it to something and now it's very permanently stuck to that. So I have to deal with that. But if you just had an extension here that was the clear tape, then I was thinking, okay, yeah, you could have it kind of like, we could put it on here and the sticky part could stick to that, and then you wrap it around. There were other problems with this. I tried it out off camera. It didn't really work. So I ended up buying some vinyl tape. This is available on Amazon. I will link to I'll link to all these tapes. And I got the paint. This is just apple barrel matte white. Okay, that'll work. I got that at Walmart. So let's see if I can't break the tape on the tape here. So this is good shiny black tape. And let's just cut off a piece. I think that's the way to do this, is just to see kind of what we're dealing with. Now, the thinking, this is obviously not to tape this just to hold the roll together. Let's see. How well does this peel off? There's a grid on the back. I'll just fast forward until I get it peeled. Or I got it peeled now. So there's a piece of this tape. And so my thinking was, if this sat on here, then that went in there, then you'd end up with a window. And you're not having to paint anything. There's very little sort of danger to it, and it's just a really simple method for putting that together. So let's see if I can't make that work. If I was to put the tape, I got to get it in the right place too, because I don't want to block these holes with the black tape. So I'll just line these up next to each other. Put that about there. Something like that. It's not perfectly straight, but it's actually wider than it needs to be, so that could work in my favor. Now, if I were to bring it down like that, I should be able to cover some of the windows anyway. Or actually, what I'm going to do is cut this just off the edge so that it'll take care of that window, and then I can use a separate piece of tape to handle the side windows. And I can go back later and refine all of the jagged parts here and what have you, and try and clean this up before I have a finished product. Let's see. That's pretty good. I'm really doing this kind of in a rush to give you a better idea of how to do this without making it a really long video. But hopefully doing this in somewhat real time, it'll make sense. Yeah, that could work as a tinted window. And as you can see, aside from the piece of tape that managed to get wedged in there, it's not blocking what should be the turn signals. So I got to do the same thing on the back, and I got to do the same thing on the sides. I'll just go ahead and do that and fast forward you through it, and then we'll get to talking about all the other lights.
In a wink and a smile, we glide so free in our tilted boxes, you and me. Oh, hover high, what a funky thrill. Let's take that hill. In our hover car, we touch the the sky. Cruising highway glide long, they hover box can't go wrong. 6 inches up to welter blood, no wheels the slowest man's done. Zooming past through neon green, lights to ride, that's all it seems. Black windows slide, the goofy grins, floating feet the ride begin. No bumps to feel, just happening. With life too loud, it's all I read. Oh, her high, what funky dream.
All right, folks, there we go. We've got windows now, and we got to get to the taillights. You might have noticed I had to make a few changes here and there. I realized that having the tape sticking over the edges was creating a bit of a bubble there, and it's easier to get it to kind of really press down on it and make it stick if it fits just within the lines there. I took a cutoff from that, and I made the back window. Fortunately, even though this is not a nice, perfectly rectangular piece, when you put it in, it doesn't block anything else. So we're good there. Whoops. I keep kind of tripping over the tape here. But there you go. That's what the back is looking like. Here's your sides. There's the windshield. This has got a little defect in the tape here. I think it just got scratched, but that's okay for now. I just wanted to demonstrate how to put this together. And there you go. You've got windows. Now, what I want to do is let's deal with the light up on the top here. This is the high mount brake light. So you know how most cars will have a light at the top. That's an actual requirement in the US. They have that there, and then there'd be a couple more tail lights. So you have kind of a pattern, but if the lights burn out, then you still have the high mount. So I think that was the whole idea for safety, and I wanted to kind of replicate that. This is just an imaginative car. It doesn't have to have safety features, but that's kind of my thinking on that. So I have this, which is a fluorescent tape. I'm trying to think. It's fluorescent tape. Well, it's Gaffer's tape, but it's basically a cloth tape, and this is going to represent the red for the brake lights. So I'm going to cut off a piece off of this. Hope that I got it the right size. Getting little pieces of other tape all over the place. Now this one should fold well. All right. This should fold around the top pretty easily. Let's put it up here. Get it reasonably well centered. Now, again, I'm doing this in a little bit of a rush for the sake of the video, but if you're doing it, I'd say go ahead and take your time. And there you go. Now we have what looks kind of like a brake light on the top there. Now, that's not the only brake light. I had chosen in the cluster of 3 on either side here that the inner lights are going to represent the backup lights. The upper light's going to be a turn signal light, and the lower light is going to be the brake light. So I need a couple more pieces of this, and these are going to have to be placed a little bit more carefully so they don't interfere with the others. So let's see if I can do that real quick. So remember, these are the lower light. And actually, the more I look at this, I'm going to have to cut this down because I don't want the tape sticking down here, because when you put these two pieces together, and actually in my original design, this yellowish piece is actually supposed to be black. So when you put it on a table or a surface or something like that, it looks like it's hovering above the surface. So in order to do that, I got to get the tape in there. Yeah, I'm going to have to cut the tape in half, long way here. So I have an even thinner piece. I forget exactly what the dimensions are. on what I got here, but again, I will link this stuff in the description. So if you're just looking for tape, you can get it. If you're looking to do the car, again, let me know in the comments, and I will. Yeah, that's close enough for what I'm trying to do here. So if I put that there, I can wrap it around. It shouldn't interfere with anything else. If I put one over here, about the same. You see, now that's sticking down. That's what I didn't want. So I think I need to cut these in half again, just to have a tiny little piece. But lessons learned. I'll cut this in half. We'll do both sides. And we'll do the same thing when it comes to the signal lights. There's a smaller piece and another small piece. Let's see if we can do this. That needs to be probably around the... Well, if I go around the end, I'm trying to get it right up on the edge there. Oops, and the tape decided to bunch up on me. There, I think I got it. Let's just try this side first and see if that's in the right spot. It's in more than the right spot. It's sitting on top of the other. It is now obscuring that, but I have a simple solution for that one. And we can do the same with the orange tape. I get it now. Okay, yeah. So you want it thin. You don't want to wrap it around the side. But we should be able to get away with putting it on the back like this. Not exactly like duct tape, but easier to work with. But you don't want it to stick to itself too much. Oh boy, that was dumb. Okay, I got that in there. Let's see if the brake lights are going to work here. The simulated brake lights. It's getting tighter trying to put it in. It's not sticking down below. And I got it on both brake lights. So now what we'll do is we'll get the orange tape and do the same thing for the signal lights. And I'll just fast forward through this so you can see the finished result on that.
No more potholes bursting at the seams. Whose foot of a switch could take to the skies? The envy of all their jealous eyes. No gas or bump, just as happens of that dance party in a cozy room. Oh, hover high, it's a funky drive. Just press a button and we come alive.
All right, well, it was more of a struggle than I intended. But again, trying to make it fast. So it's a little hard to see the difference between the orange and the red here. But the reason I got the fluorescent tape was because I could use a black light. Let me see if I can get my black light here. And it should make them glow a little bit more. So the idea is if I put this in a display, I can make it glow a little bit better. Black is not going to reflect the same way. We've got our turn signals up here. This is not perfect. I could have done better. I'll go back and do it better later. But the idea is that if you had a black light, you can do that. A black light or a UV light, the same kind of stuff they use to check currency and inspect for nasty stuff. So what I want to do now is I want to get to the white here, because I've got the headlight up front here and I've got the backup lights back here. So I'm just going to paint over the tape that's there and hope that when I put this back together, it doesn't smear all over the place. Now, I don't have a proper brush. I bought all this stuff recently and didn't think every last part of it through. I don't know if I need to shake that or not. Let's see what happens if I try to open this. Okay, let's do it the other way. I'm sure that opens and you can squeeze out just a little bit, but let's see if I can make a cleaning brush. I do electronics too, so this is helpful for some things. Just want to paint across. I'm going to have to let that dry. Then on the back side, and I'm going to use this for reference so I can see where I need to paint. Now, I mean, if you have white tape, you can probably do that. It saves you from having to paint, and you don't have to wait for the paint to dry. Now, I'm going to give this a little bit of time to dry before I put it back together, so I'm going to pause the video recording, but it'll be almost instantaneous for you. So I'll be right back. Well, there you go, folks. I got it on a turntable and everything. And as it goes by, you'll notice a few things. One, being this much closer, you can see all the defects in the plastic, but I don't think, as a little toy from a little bit of a distance, anybody's really going to notice. Also, if you happen to look on the back as it swings by, you'll see that the down at the bottom, there's a little bit of paint that I kind of messed up, so I need to clean that off. But also, if you look at the windows, you might notice that they're a tad bit shinier now. As it turns out, there's a protective tape on that, a protective film on that tape that I put in, and I peeled it off except on the back windows, so hopefully you can see that as it goes around. But that's what it looks like. And now I'm going to attempt to turn off some lights and show this to you with the UV light. Here we go. See how those lights pop in the back. A little bit more. Now this isn't a super powerful UV light. This is actually a flashlight that I built as part of another project I've been working on. So if you're kind of interested in how to build a flashlight, the key problem you may run into is where to get the batteries, and ultimately I ended up finding the batteries on the street. There's a whole explanation to that, but you'll have to tune in to see what I'm talking about. Now I'm just going to wait for it to swing around and see if I can get those headlights to shine. All right, let's try it from this angle. Meanwhile, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments. We'll see you on the next one.